Aborigani Ekaro, and of course, good morning. Welcome to today's episode of Thoughts and Concepts, episode number 4. I'm Jacob Renee, and let's get into it. Today's episode is called Girl, Stand Up, which is going to bring us into today's Jeopardy moment. Where is that from? Do 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 do. All right, so girl, stand up. Now I want to just say girl, stand up, but you can't say it that way. It's a whole feeling and meaning to when you say girl, stand up. Now, when I first heard that, it was in a TikTok video that my aunt sent me because I'm not a social media person. And I know you're like, how do you do this and you're not a social media person? Real easy. I ain't got to be on there. Because I feel like social media is a place of the make believe. Now, TikTok is something completely different. If I engage in any type of social media at all, it's TikTok. My aunt sends me a whole bunch of videos and whatnot that I clue into. And I also use TikTok as like a visual Google where I'll put in like things to do or fun places to go. And I get to see like a barrage of different reviews of people being there and showing me and giving me an idea of what I'm going to experience. And I like to do this because I don't like to exert unnecessary energy. All right, so today's Jeopardy is a little different from what we usually do. There is no real definitive answer. So this one's going to be more of a sharing. Where did you hear that term, girl, stand up? And in what context was it being used? The context in which it was being used in the video that I saw where a girl was giving advice or she was responding to a girl telling her story about something, her relationship with some guy and the things that he was doing, or and then it was another like barrage of people talking about their first dates and things of that nature. And there's like, girl, stand up. Ew. You let somebody take advantage of you like that? Ew. So basically, like, remember who you are. Let's not have that keep going on. I can't wait to see what you guys reference for girl stand up is in the chat because when I first heard it, I was like, all right. I don't know, something about it that made me feel like empowered. Today's concept is alignment. A process of intentional self correction guided by inner conviction or spiritual practice, like prayer, meditation, reading scriptures, to restore inner peace, clarity, and purpose, preventing a drift from your true path. It's about getting back in sync with your core values or divine design. And this is the third and final step to us looking forward, right? In the midst of us actually doing a life reset, because that's the ultimate goal. First episode was talking about determining you need a life reset. Second episode was like, okay, let's reflect on what happened before so we'll make those same mistakes in the future. And last week, third episode was about releasing, which is a very difficult task, right? And today, after we've done those things, let's get to the bread and butter, right? That's going to set us on our path. Alignment. For some, it's realignment. Because, you had something working, but it didn't go according to plan. And one of the things that's really going to get us to alignment is boundaries. And I know for some people, you may have heard the term boundaries a lot. Boundaries, boundaries. Which gives us the second concept of today. Boundaries, essential self-defined limits regarding physical space, emotions, time, and intellectual property that foster safety, respect, and mental well-being in relationships. In short, it's a line that you don't want people crossing in the most simplest of terms. So when we think about boundaries, it can be just another uncomfortable thing, right? Because for most of us, the boundaries that we're putting in place, it may seem obvious to some, but what people don't understand is it's easier to, have all these opinions about what's so simple when you're not the one actually doing it. And one of the things that really makes boundaries necessary, not only necessary, but can be difficult, is because you got to hold the line. There's no one else's job but yours to hold the line. One thing I know is that some people are innately selfish, and not even, it's not really about them being selfish. It's about the fact that they just habitable creatures. They're used to you doing certain things. They're used to you allowing certain behaviors. So it's nobody's job to hold the line but yours. People are going to continuously try to get over the boundary, to step over the line. One of the things that I typically saw is that, when people draw, they're being very, very extra, but they're drawing a line in the sand. They say, this is my part. This is your part. Don't come over it. That's what I picture when I think about boundaries. Don't come over here, because I put this in place to not only protect me, but just to maintain my well-being, and to think about it in a more faith-filled way. Boundaries are a form of spiritual obedience, not not you just being selfish. Sometimes you will have to be what people consider selfish in order to protect yourself. What's one of those terms that people say? I'm protecting my peace. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that is said in a way that can be somewhat, not, I want to say self-serving, but if there's malicious intent, is it really protecting your peace? I don't know. Put down in the chat what you think about that when you hear it, like when you hear that term. That could have been another Jeopardy moment, right? Now, how exactly are we going to do this? Well, the thing about boundary is it's going to cause us to constantly check in with ourselves. Because at the end of the day, when someone steps over your boundaries, they're making you fall back into a behavior of accepting something that's not good for you. Now, I know in the previous episode we were talking about forgiveness and how it's a cornerstone of our faith and things of that nature. Boundaries aren't about holding a grudge. It's literally about protecting who you are, your personhood, your well-being, and where you're going. So sometimes it's going to be a little difficult because at the end of the day, your boundaries are new and you're so used to your previous behavior that you may easily fall back into it. So that's why I want you to keep in mind that it's your job to hold the line. Even if you are the even if you feel like, okay, I'm going to announce this person, of course you got to let them know, look, I can't tolerate this. They may be so used to doing such things and such acts that they may not even notice that they're crossing your boundary because they're used to behaving that way towards you consistently, and you're used to accepting, because you can fall and find yourself violating your own boundaries because muscle memory, and you're going to train your muscles to do something new, which can be quite difficult. But don't worry, we're all in this together. In the chat, put a boundary that you're putting in place or that you're re-putting into place, or just share your experience on not only aligning your boundaries with where you're headed and your purpose, but what's the most difficult part about holding the line of your boundaries. All right, so that's going to lead us to today's hoodie moment. Now, I don't know if it's picking it up on the screen, but this hoodie is older than my daughter. This was gifted to me by my mother's coworker who had went to Disney World, and she brought this sweatshirt, but this wasn't on there. So she actually sewed this on for me. So this one can't even be brought. It's vintage, if you will. Back in the day, I was obsessed with Tweety Bird. There was just something about how funny a little like there was just something so funny about him and the way that he, you know what? I'm not even sure that Tweety would identify as he. No, but when he did tempt him, there was female esque. You know what? It doesn't even matter. I was obsessed with Tweety Bird, and everybody knew it. Everybody would buy me bags with Tweety on it. I got a teapot with Tweety on it. I don't even know if they make that type of merchandise anymore. I have the one where there's a sound sister of Tweety, and he's dressed up in a merengue outfit, and he starts dancing and singing. So it's like insanity of all the merch I have. Insanity. But that's neither here nor there. This is the hoodie of the moment. I'll see you guys next week where we're going to go into talking about our values and what's leading us, what's going to continue to lead us forward on this life reset journey that we're taking together. And remember, you can only control yourself, not the outcome. So focus on you. I'll see you guys next week. Love to love you.